Hi folks, welcome back to Backyard Aviary Adventures. This is a little bit of a different adventure. We have a little one with us.
Got Emily!
Got an Emily May with us. She usually goes to her daddy's, but there's some illness, so she's coming with us. We're not going in the usual car, we're going in my work car. So the seats in the back, and instead of staying in the car like we usually do, because we've got Emily with us, we're going to a kind of B&B pub type thing. We're on the search for a very, very rare red-tailed shrike. We're going back east. Let's do it. Back to Bempton, yeah.
After about 3.5 hours on the road with a couple of stops and a few cries of, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" we finally got to our overnight destination.
Hey folks, we're at our overnight destination at the Dotterel Inn, which isn't too far from Bridlington. It's about 10 minutes out of Bridlington, not far from Bempton Cliffs, where we're going again tomorrow to try and see a red-tailed shrike, which will be a lifer for all of us, and Albie, which Emily wants to see, and I'd like to see again. The albatross. Yeah. So we're doing that in the morning, but it's 9:30, which is past her bedtime, and it feels like it's past my bedtime. So see you tomorrow. It's a big breakfast for you, isn't it? Yeah. You can feed yourself, can't you? Right, folks, should we go and find this red-tailed shrike?
Yeah.
Should we try?
I go.
Yeah, Emily's got all sorts of goodies to help her find this birdie. Let's do it.
Biggest one.
The red-tailed shrike we were looking for was on a farm next to Bempton Cliffs RSPB. So yet again we found ourselves on one of our favourite RSPB reserves. There was a lot of the normal bird species around, the massive gannet colony, razorbills, puffins, kittiwakes and fulmars. We couldn't go here without at least a little look for Albie the albatross, possibly the only one of his kind in the northern hemisphere that comes back to this reserve every summer.
Albie the albatross.
Although quite a tricky bird to photograph sometimes, he had a good fly around, giving us some really good views. But it was time to go for the bird that we've been searching for, the red-tailed shrike. This bird is also called the Turkestan shrike, and it breeds in Central Asia and southern Siberia. After speaking to some other bird watchers, we were directed to a field next to a farmer's field. The bird had been showing reasonably well, apparently, in a hedgerow adjacent to that field.
So we're here trying to find the red-tailed shrike. I've lost Kaylee and Emily behind me. I don't think they're too far back. I'm just trying to follow all the other people because the shrike has moved from its original position onto a farm near Bempton Cliffs. Right, I'll see if I can find the others and we'll go and have a look for it.
Eventually I got to the edge of the farmer's field and saw a lot of bird watchers looking at some trees and undergrowth. When I got there, I found out that the bird was somewhere amongst all that undergrowth but was out of sight. After a short time, the shrike came out onto a branch in the centre of a clearing and sat there for quite a while we all looked and photographed. So please correct me in the comments if I get this wrong, but there seems to have been 8 records in the UK including this one, and this is possibly the second adult bird ever seen in the UK. So quite a special bird. After a short time, the bird flew into a bush and began preening. Unfortunately, it was out of my sight. Kaylee, on the other hand, who stood a little bit further down the field, apparently got a great view. I wish she'd told me. Again, after a short wait, the shrike came out into the open on a branch and posed for a while for everyone to take snap and witness this fantastic bird. This has got to go down as one of the most amazing birds I've seen. What a star. The only slightly negative bit about the experience was some of the birders were a little moody if you accidentally stood in front of them and could have been a little bit more polite. Regardless, we'd got our bird. So we headed back to the car through Bempton Cliffs Nature Reserve
Guess what we've just seen? We've just seen a red-tailed shrike. Everybody happy with that?
Yes. Yeah.
That was super cool and it showed really, really well. You could see it with the naked eye. When we turned up, it wasn't visible. It was in a bush, but it came out and put on a show, which was terrific.
Amazing.
And it's a lifer. What is it, guys?
I stopped along the way to take some pictures of gannets. These birds aren't the easiest to photograph in flight, but here's some of my efforts. To reward Emily for all the walking she'd done, we took her to the beach to have a play. We found a lovely beach near where we were staying. There was a lot of dogs and a few people, but Emily had a great time with Kaylee splashing in the waves as it was a really hot day.
So we found a beach that was right near where we're staying, which is it's quite packed, full of lots and lots of dogs, but it was a really pretty beach and it's a really nice hot day. So we're going to head back towards the hotel to shower Emily because she's covered in sand, and head for a sandwich.
We headed back to where we were staying for a sandwich and a shower, ended up having a couple of bowls of chips instead. Then we headed to Flamborough Head.
Decided to have a bit of a walk on Flamborough Head. It's very pretty, great views of the sea. I'll put a couple of photographs up in a bit. There's loads of things like meadow pipits and whatnot about.
After a short walk along the headland and a little pier down onto the cliffs where there were puffins and razorbills, we headed to North Landing Beach, which was absolutely stunning. It's a fine pebble beach with white cliffs all around. After sitting for a short while, I decided to go for a little wander as I heard a lot of seabirds. I walked along some rocks at the side of the beach and found myself at the base of a cliff where there were puffins nesting. These puffins were in and out. I took some photos of them. They're and some razorbills. It was an amazing experience watching the puffins fly over my head. Some of them came quite low.
Me and Emily are heading into a cave. Here's the cave.
Unfortunately, it was pretty much time to go, so we headed to Bridlington for a pizza. That was Emily's choice. The next day, we woke up and headed to a place called Potterick Car Nature Reserve. It's a Yorkshire Wildlife Trust place, and there are apparently a breeding pair of black-winged stilts there, which is pretty cool for the UK.
Hi, we're at Potterick Car Nature Reserve. There's quite a few birds here. It looks like a massive place. We're looking for hopefully some black-winged stilts that are breeding here, which would be excellent to see.
It was quite a walk to the hide where the stilts were. I was a little concerned about Emily being able to make it, but she did great. When we got to the hide, I had a look around and there were plenty of birds there. Quite a few little egret. I counted about half a dozen. Also lapwing, coots and grey heron. Also, one of the black-winged stilts was wading quite close, so I managed to get a few shots and a little bit of footage, but it soon moved. It flew almost out of sight to the back of the piece of water and settled behind some reeds. We could see it but it was sat down on the floor for quite a while. Eventually it flew to a little island halfway between where it was and us, so briefly got some pretty good views. Then one of the birds began wading towards the far side of the lake, and the other one was walking around near where the other one was roosting earlier. Although reasonably far away, I got some pretty good footage of it feeding. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like black-winged stilt have bred in this country maybe around a dozen or so times, most of them within the last 10 years. It seems to be one of the bird species which is getting a foothold in this country, like great white egrets, cattle egrets and spoonbill. Regardless of this, it's a fantastic bird to see, and I've never seen one in this country until now. I would love to have stayed longer, but it was time to go home.
Right, another successful bit of the mission done. Black-winged stilt seen, but we haven't seen the babies, but we've seen the 2 adults, which is super for the UK. Excellent.
And after a couple of hours driving, we were back to home and the backyard aviary. What a great weekend. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. Please like and please subscribe. See you next time.